and welcome to the first episode of the Million Dollar Coach podcast, powered by Fitfiliate. Excited to have the team here today for our very first call. So we've got Tony, the founder of Fitfiliate, who you will have seen numerous times on the Fitfiliate podcast, but also our lead staff, I guess, for the Million Dollar Coach project is Sam Burns and Ash Coppola. How are you guys?
Doing wonderful. Thanks for having us here.
Oh, so it's your party. I'm just here to make sure the noise keeps to a manageable level and herd the cats.
Yeah, I think what she means is to keep me to a minimum. She's used to that.
Yeah. It's I'm old hand at that now. So I guess being our first episode, the obvious topic is, what is the $1 Million Coach program? Why do we need it? And where are we going with this little weekly podcast we're going to have? Take it away, team.
Why on earth do we need another podcast? I don't know. I just thought that the podcast had a great name. So if nothing else, if we talk about literally nothing, $1 Million Coach podcast, I think was cool. So that's the main reason this had to exist. But it's really mostly because these two are much better at talking. So they get to talk about what this is about. They're like, you asshole.
Well, I mean, I didn't want to say it out loud, but since you put it out there, I mean, when I think about the why for the $1 Million Coach podcast, it's, I think about my own story. I think about the reasons why I got into coaching. I decided to become a CrossFit coach, one, because I fell in love with CrossFit, and then two, because I wanted to live a life of service. And I don't know anyone who does something like that or gets into coaching and then also says, and I want to make a bunch of money, because it's just like, it's kind of understood that if that's where you're going to aim your life, you're not going to be able to make a bunch of money. And then as you start down that journey and you go far enough down that journey, many years, you start to realize the value of not only the information that you have, but also the service that you provide and the way you change people's lives. And if you stay in it long enough and you ask the right questions, you start to realize there's a major disconnect between the value of the service you are providing and the kind of industry-wide compensation that is going on with high-level coaches, and how it doesn't need to be like that, and we wanted to create a space where we can talk about how do we start changing that.
Yeah, Ash, follow that
great
one.
Points.
Yeah, I mean, Sam's right on point there. I think, and that as well is there's only so many hours in the day. And, as we all know, as being CrossFit coaches, we have peak hours, right? And there's the hours where people have to do everything else in life. And it's also kind of like, well, how do I utilize these skills that I have and continue to help people, maybe not during those hours and not needing to trade per hour for those dollars, where it would benefit both us and the people we're trying to help, and being able to, create revenue that way.
For sure. I mean, I sit in a unique position on this podcast only because I sit on both podcasts. So if you happen to listen to both of them, I'm sorry you got to hear me twice in a week now. But as the person who sits on the other side, I also spend a lot of time with affiliate owners. It's actually really where I spend all my time. And pretty universally, literally universally, every affiliate owner has the same struggle. They would like to have better, more invested coaches, but there seems to be a giant disconnect into whose responsibility is that investment and where does that begin and where does that end. And really, when we set out to create this whole entire program, as you'll learn about as we get through these podcasts, there was really one central thing that we wanted to make sure that we did, and that was give a voice to people like us who do things like this, because the industry has no shortage of talking heads and prominent people who will get on their soapbox and on their platforms and tell all of these quote unquote lowly coaches how they should be doing more and making more and earning more, and really honestly just guilting them into, this sort of, benign existence. And that's just not helping anybody. So really what I wanted to create with this whole thing was basically Ashley and Sam, who are people just like the rest of everybody, who could speak to people like us who do things like this. I unfortunately was not going to be the right person to do this because I've held pretty much every conceivable position in the entire industry, from affiliate owner to affiliate partner to SME to coach to you name it. I've done pretty much everything. And while that would, in theory, make me the person who is qualified to speak to most of this stuff, it almost puts me too far ahead to some degree. And I feel a lot like I'd be one of those other talking heads telling you guys what I did. And if you know anything about Fit Affiliate, we're not big on the advice conversation. We're big on the guidance conversation. And so the easiest way for me to conceive of that was to put two people in response of this who are on their own journey, doing really, really well, and can better help guide the conversation, guide the other people. And that's really why this podcast needed to exist. But the bottom line is the goal of MDCP as an overarching project is to bring wealth to the CrossFit community, because absent of that, and it's not about the money, but absent of wealth, there is no real pursuit of anything professional. And that's one of the big problems. We need you guys to make more money so that you stay in this thing longer, so we do more work for more people and the world gets better, and then we invite more people in. That's why this podcast.
Perfect. Good chat. So,
and we're done.
Peace.
And we're done. Good. See you next week.
See ya.
So let's talk about then what is $1 Million Coach. What does that look like? How, like that? A lot of people who will be picking this up.
One more dollar than $999,999.
You just couldn't leave it alone.
Always
Lisa lobs them up there for me, and I have no choice but to take them.
He does. Otherwise, it's just not cool. So for the regular people out there listening to this, and coaches and even affiliate owners and trainers, that number would be conceptually mind-blowing to them. Like, because of their belief structures that they have is, we talk often on the Fit Affiliate podcast about, embracing the suffering, and it's not supposed to be easy, and it's, you're not supposed to be, you don't do it for the money, you do it to help people. So that $1 million sort of thing is just going to make people's brains melt, I think, and not understand that that's entirely possible. Sure. So what are we talking about when we talk about that?
Well, I mean, so going back to blowing people's minds, I mean, $1 million is a 7-figure salary, right? I think it's safe to say that coaches, trainers, maybe even affiliate owners would be mind blown to have a 6-figure salary, to be making
some of them
over 100,000. Some, yeah, right. So for 5-figure salary, and that's not the way it should be. And I don't say that from like a greedy capitalist standpoint. It's like there's a way to do ethical wealth creation. And to Tony's point, there are more people outside of the doors of affiliates who need the affiliates more than there are people inside the affiliates who need the affiliate. And when we talk about the big, hairy, audacious goal of, eradicating obesity, the world's most vexing problem, you can't do that without a lot more trainers. And we're not going to be able, we're going to have a really hard time convincing more trainers to sign up and take their level 1 and dump a bunch of time into professional development so that they can affect that change when they see the coaches who inspired them struggling to make ends meet and, getting burned out after 5 years and opting to go back to a 9-to-5 because there's safety and security in that, and like, it doesn't need to be like that at all.
Yeah. And I think,
and that is,
there's a majority of, I think there's a majority of coaches out there as well that, they had a 9-to-5 to begin with. They fell in love with CrossFit and wanted to become a coach to help others. So they do it part-time, but they wish they could do it more. But it seems, like you said, like a big, hairy, audacious goal to be able to actually job and make coaching a living. And, being able to relate to that struggle, it's out there for you. And a tool will just start to put those pieces together to be like, oh, but I can, take these steps, and it's not just about running a CrossFit class, and realizing that there's more that you can do to be able to reach more people and to help yourself within that space is really what we want to be able to kind of communicate here.
And I think too, where a lot of coaches get disappointed to a degree, they follow the professional development path that HQ lay out. So they do their L1, L2, L3, and then potentially, look to their L4. They go back to their affiliate owner and go, "Oh, I'm an L2 now, I'm an L3, like, pay me more." And the affiliate owner's like, "Dude, there's no more to pay you." And they're like, "Yeah, but I've done the courses. I'm a professional coach. I should get paid like a professional coach." And kind of missing some of those other elements that might go into creating things rather than, "I did the thing, give me the more money."
Right.
It's a who's on first conversation, right? It's like, who's responsible for this? Is it you or is it me? And I think that there's a lot of permission asking. And the point of this podcast throughout its time that we'll hopefully spend with you guys is ideally to discuss not only ideas and possibilities to create your own revenue and ways to make more money, but also a lot of the things that stand in your way from your ability to make that money, and really and to kind of discuss and dig into whether those are self-imposed or if they're, ecologically or environmentally imposed, or what those things are. Because I think as a whole, pretty much everybody who has climbed the ladder, whether that be level 1, 2, or 3, whatever that is, I think that there's definitely a conversation of permission. Right? There's a universal sort of thing being like kind of what you just said, Lisa, where it's like, well, I did my job, right, for you, and this is benefiting your affiliate, so you should pay me more. But unfortunately, there's nothing about climbing that ladder that says anything about your value proposition. You definitely are requiring more information and more ability to relate and help more people, but that doesn't necessarily convey your ability to package and distribute that information. And that's really the entire emphasis of what, the $1 Million Coach program is. I mean, sure, it's a very large sum of money, well beyond the scope of conceptual understanding for most people. I get it. And we really kind of struggle with the idea of like, do we actually name it that, or do we name it something like how to make $1, right? And then it's more relative. But I mean, we don't really believe in doing anything half-assed, so we might as well just shoot for the stars, right? But what we want to do is give you guys the resources that you need, that everybody else is trying to sell you and teach you, so that you can understand that like you are in charge of your own future. And we have two sides of this, because on the affiliate side, we're here to help and protect the affiliate model, which I think everybody universally agrees is the front line to the battle of the world's most vexing problem. But what I don't think a lot of people pay that much attention to is that the coaches are the infantry. They're the generals. They're the warriors. They're the people who have to take the fight to the front line. And then the clients really should be picking up the weapon as well, and then taking that out into the public. And so, through our work with the affiliate, we find ourselves in the ability to help and develop and create opportunities for the affiliate owners. But there's still a conversation that was left to be had. And that was one that needs to help the affiliate. And that is getting essentially their coaches to be responsible for revenue generation, not because the affiliate needs to make more money instantaneously, but because those people need to make more money. Like Sam kind of said, nobody signed up for their L1, I don't think, with the intention of making $1 million. I agree with that wholeheartedly. But they also didn't sign up for their L1 to lose money. And there's a very real reality that exists in the entirety of the landscape, where there is a multitude of coaches who are losing money on a daily basis to do the thing that they love. And I'm proud of you guys for that commitment and that investment. And I'm glad that you're doing it, but you don't have to be a martyr. And in fact, if I don't get you to stop being a martyr, you're going to have to go back to work. And that's going to suck for the entire community because there's a lot of great people. And that's really where the whole thing was built from. Like Sam and Ash came into my life through a seminar, right? I met them, basically fell in love with them. Sam drove me crazy every single weekend to come hang out and intern with me. But the reality was is that both of their drive, both of their motivations were not self-centered. They just wanted to help other people. And that obviously led to them being much more involved in the mission and in the vision, but they're not alone. Like I spent almost 30 weekends a year for a decade of my life with roomfuls of people like you guys. And it was always truly heartbreaking. Chuck and I would have multiple phone calls about like the people you'd meet in the room, and I would give you guys this massive skill set, which at the time was gymnastics, and knowing full well that there was literally nothing you were going to be able to do with it. Right? You were going to go back to the community, and then you were going to try your best to regurgitate what I taught you, but you were never going to grasp the financial implications and opportunities that you had with such a behavioral model, which was gymnastics. Because I didn't have time to teach it in a weekend. Right? Like everybody was like, I learned something great. I know it's great. I just don't know how to pull the sword out of the stone. So I guess I'll just leave it there. And unfortunately, that's, I think, the overwhelming reality for most coaches, that they try and they try and they try. They climb the ladder. They get to a point where they've amassed all the information that they can, the levels, the acronyms, and it doesn't seem to play a large role in their revenue. Maybe if they're lucky, they get all the acronyms, and then the other affiliate in town is like, hey, I need a coach. I'll pay you more. But that's not the type of money we want for you guys. As coaches, I think everybody who is a coach agrees it is one of the greatest career fields on the planet. And our job through this podcast will be to teach you guys the difference between what it means to be, a developing trainer or teacher or speaker, all the way up to what it means to be a coach and a consultant, and how that really plays a role in how much money that you make and how much value you provide. But it's really about your ability to get out in front of the thing and be able to make your own money and not have to ask for permission to do it. Because I'm going to tell you right now, we've worked with hundreds of affiliates, and not a single one of them would ever stand in the way of one of their coaches wanting to make more money for both them and the affiliate. But you got to stop asking for permission. And that's really where it comes down to. You got to provide value. That includes to the affiliate that you're a part of, but also the people that you speak to. And that's really what this whole project is about, is getting you guys to take all the information that you know, everything that you've Googled and researched and weekends you've spent, and teaching you how to create value with that thing, not just possess it and make yourself important. I'll climb off my soapbox now.
Well, there's so much packed into that. And anyone who's ever listened to Tony talk, like, first of all, if you can keep up, bravo. Second of all, like, there's a massive paradigm shift that happens on the front end of all of that, where, going to his point of asking for permission, there's this dirty word that I'm going to throw out there, and it's entrepreneur. Like, it's very uncomfortable for people who haven't already sought that out to then even begin thinking about themselves as an entrepreneur. But really, that's what we're talking about. I, as a professional trainer, have amassed, like Tony talked about, weekends and hours, thousands of them in my brain. I've got all that stuff sitting in there, and I can wait for someone to come ask me about it in a class, or I can be proactive, and I can think of ways to leverage that information that I have and resources that are available to me at any point in time, and I can create value. Value creation can look like a bunch of different things. And early on it was seminars, and I stole shamelessly from Chuck and Tony, where Chuck had a post years ago about if you're going to invest in TGC, here's a seminar that you could create to recoup your investment. And I basically play, pause, take notes, play, pause, take notes. And I copied the entire thing and created my first Toto Bar seminar off of that model. And that's one of infinite number of ways that you can create value. And when you talk about value creation, inside of an affiliate, that revenue just doesn't go in my pocket. Now I'm spinning gold out of nothing, essentially, for my affiliate owner. And yeah, my affiliate owner was really appreciative because that wasn't happening on its own. But if we're thinking that the word entrepreneur is an ugly word or it's embarrassing and we're waiting for someone to invite us to do that, like this, we have to help each other get over that,
It's a shitty word to spell.
Yeah, and I think it is part of the conversation as well is understanding that as a coach, you are your own brand now. So backing on that entrepreneur sort of slant, it's like, as a coach, how do I position myself as the expert in my community, in my field? It's like, brand Sam, brand Ash. Like, as a coach, you're your own brand. You have the knowledge. So what can you do with that to bring value back to the affiliate, back to you, and understand that, if you're seen as the expert, that's only going to be a good thing. But no one knows you're the expert unless you can communicate that.
There's no word that's uglier than entrepreneur and personal brand.
Manure.
Yeah, manure.
Poop. I think, there's a lot of things, and I guess kind of a spoiler alert, out of thousands of hours of conversations and calls and seminars and really a decade of life, two things have come to life that are a part of this MDCP thing. There is now essentially an online course track that is designed to do exactly what we talk about on this podcast, as well as, spoiler, I'll just let the cat out of the bag, there is now the new 6-figure seminar, which is designed to do exactly that. Teach you guys how to make at least 6 figures in your community by doing nothing except for providing value. And the reason I bring those two up is not to tell you guys that you're here listening to this because it's a giant sales call. It's just that there is no shortage of people who will sell you a solution to your financial future by teaching you more information. And it's not that there's anything inherently wrong with any of the information they're teaching you. It's just that I have, in 10 years of doing this, rarely met that many people who are absent of enough information to provide value. Meaning, sure, you can no doubt learn more, but you will learn one thing through this podcast for sure, and that is that your ability to acquire information is not what makes you special. That is purely just your baseline. Everybody who is a trainer, teacher, coach, etc., we have a universal expectation or belief that you are at least capable of finding the information you need for the problems that you have at your disposal. And so the reason I bring that up is that most of the solutions that are presented to you in that exact front. Here's more information. Here's more things to teach people. Here's more things to tell them, more things to consider, more things to look at. Have you assessed them for this or that? And there's nothing wrong with those things except for that those are just the minimum. And my point is that there is no shortage of coaches, you guys who are listening as well, who don't know enough of those things. They just don't teach you what to do with them. Right? And so you find yourself taking the seminar and following the professional coach journey and doing this and all those things. And you're just like, nobody's still buying it. Right. And so what we need to teach you guys to do is how to provide an incredible amount of value with whatever information you already have. You don't need to take another seminar, although I do encourage you to keep doing that for the rest of your life. But it's not about that. You need to take what you already know and figure out how you can create the most amount of value with what you know so that you can become irreplaceable. And that's the first conversation. My microphone is yelling at me.
Yeah, I think when I took the gymnastics course with Tony, it was one of the first courses where at the end, he gave us like basically, I don't know, 4 or 6 steps of like how to now use this moving forward. So we could benefit from it and our affiliates could benefit from it. And I was like shocked. And that was kind of what hooked me to Tony. And that's when I became like a puppy, a lost puppy too. I was like, I got to talk to him.
They're my friends.
But I have all this information from yoga courses and seminars, CrossFit courses and seminars, nutrition courses and seminars, a wealth of information that was, like he said, basically just sitting in here. If someone would ask or if somebody wanted personal coaching, I could explore it. But otherwise, it was kind of just, floating around in the lazy pool. And yeah, it was a huge shift, mindset shift.
Well, and kind of building on that, Tony's talking about having specific knowledge. We as CrossFit coaches, and I'll confine this discussion to CrossFit, but if you've got additional education outside of that, it applies only more. I heard someone recently talking about if you're coaching the squat, for example, in a class, and you coach 3 classes that day, and you've got 15 people in your class for each of those classes, for every rep that you call across all 3 classes, you have the potential to see 45 squats. Like, nobody handles education and application of that education. Hopefully you're applying your education in your classes. Nobody handles it at volume like CrossFit trainers do. And so if you're out there thinking, and you happen to listen to this and you're like, well, I don't have that specific knowledge, my response to that is horseshit. Yes, you do. Because if, just being conservative, at my first affiliate, I spent 3.5 years and I coached X number of classes a day, and there were an average of 7 to 8. I mean, I've got the number. By the time I applied for my level 3 application, I had 2,200 hours. 2,200 hours coaching 7 people, whatever that number is. I'm going to have hundreds of clients who I have helped along this journey. And just that line, I've helped hundreds of clients in their health and fitness journey. I don't know any other trainer who would think to phrase things like that, but it's the truth,
There is something spectacular about the opportunity that's present to every single CrossFit coach, both in its application, but also in your pursuit. The thing is that there is no greater training platform on the planet than CrossFit, than HQ. Like, the seminars, the programs, and the things that they put forth are hands down the single greatest thing of its kind. There is no shortage of trainers, great coaches, both far and wide. But in terms of the breadth and the depth of the actual program itself, there's nothing like it. But the problem for us, and somebody who is incredibly loyal to the pursuit, CrossFit changed my life, and I am dedicated and motivated to drive that thing forward. And I will literally continue to do it, I guess, for the rest of my life, it appears. But there seems to be a problem that exists now as time has gone on. And I've been a part of this thing for essentially a millennia, it feels like at this point, but well over a decade. And where we sit now is, I don't want to call it a plateau, because it's not really a plateau. People are still obviously signing up for the seminars and they're taking them. But it seems to be that there's a collective sort of belief that it's somebody else's fault, and that we have no shortage of amazing trainers who have done their L1s, 2s, 3s, and now on to their 4s. And unfortunately, that doesn't seem to have resulted in a large influx of revenue, as a professional career. And so there's like this look back at the advice, and that's really the big problem. They're like, well, that's the problem. And so somehow, like, HQ and its pursuit and its teaching has become vilified to the point where they're like, you're not teaching us enough. We need to be taught more. You could teach you literally everything under the sun. It's not about that. It's about how you apply the information. And I'm telling you right now, you will not find a better group of trainers, a better group of seminar instructors. You will not find a better, more diligent staff who is designed and devoted to just produce the best content under the sun. It's just not going to help you make money unless you learn what to do with it. And that's really what we set out to do with this thing, was to teach you guys how to take what you have and apply it, because that's really what it comes down to. As somebody who has essentially climbed the ladder, past the 6 figures, past the $1 million coach valuation, and I did that all through my pursuit of creating and providing value. But all of that, literally the entire thing, was learned in the CrossFit ecosystem. All of it. It wasn't an outside degree. It wasn't some level of expertise. It wasn't anything else. It was just literally committing to amassing and acquiring as much information as I could. And there's no place on the planet like the CrossFit ecosystem to acquire information. I'm telling you right now. From the SMEs to the L1s, 2s, and 3s, and 4s, and the red shirts, you will not find people who are more committed to the development or to the delivery of information. However, you still got to do something with it. And that's where the problem comes in, right? Because then they end up with this information, and then they're like, well, now that I have this, I'm entitled. It's almost as if like they think that like, I'm owed this, or I've earned it, but you haven't really yet. And we need you to take the information from that great resource and then use it to apply and deliver value. And truly, in a lot of ways, that basically means give incessantly, just nonstop, over and over and over again, until people understand that you are the resource that you need to be. And that's really, what we want this to be. I don't want you giving this stuff away for free, but I want to teach you guys how to make money. But it starts with figuring out what you do know, or how much what you do know is worth. That's where I think the big starting point is.
And I guess too, it's about learning to, be proactive and take action and create initiatives. And, like Sam went back and went, okay, here's a need to his affiliate owner. We need these sort of seminars here. Here's the solution. Instead of going to the affiliate owner or wherever it is you're at and going, we need this. This would be really cool. Okay, cool. What have you done on that? Well, I'm just telling you, you make it happen and I'll, whatever. It's create, live in the solution, I guess, for want of a better term, and be proactive and take those actions with the knowledge that you know to demonstrate the knowledge that you know.
It's fun to watch whose microphones turn off and on. I'm like, who's gonna go?
I mean, I know that what's funny is, like, even if we're talking about, revenue creation for the affiliates, I was flabbergasted at the number of affiliates who are afraid to charge. Well, there's that, but afraid to charge a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
I remember having a discussion with one of my superiors at one point. I said, "Hey, I'm gonna up my personal training prices," and they said, "Okay, what were you thinking?" And I sent them the breakdown, like for a single class, or a package of this, a package of this, package of this, what their cut is, what my cut is, and they're like, "Yeah, we're not comfortable selling more than 10 PT sessions at."
There's a lot to unpack in that. I can tell you exactly where that trauma comes from, but Sam is stuck.
Sam is stuck mid sentence.
Frozen in Maine.
Like from my experience, running the affiliate, you would want to launch something, and the amount of times I had a coach come to me and go, "Oh, no one's going to pay that." Like, really? You want to charge that? Who's going to pay that? And you're like,
time.
There he is.
Sort of. Popped in.
Oh, we got him back.
Welcome back, Sam. But yeah, you put out a program and say, great, we're going to run this seminar. This is what we're going to charge. No one's going to pay that. And the coaches straight away. So then when they go out and have to talk to the members or to potential new clients about it, then they start, hedging bets on what they start discounting it or hedging bets because they don't think that they wouldn't pay that necessarily. So they don't think anyone else will. And they start putting their own beliefs and stories onto the other people.
For sure. Real quick, if I don't make this known on at least this podcast, it's definitely going to become a recurring problem. We're not going to spend a lot of time talking about the traumatic experiences of your affiliate owner because we do no shortage of that on the actual Fit Affiliate podcast. What I will say is if you find yourself, unfortunately, in the possession of a unfortunate or closed-minded affiliate owner, just do yourself and them a favor and just book them a call with us, with the affiliate. We'll take care of their limiting beliefs and their trauma and their psychology on our own, the way that we do, so that you guys don't have to worry about it. We could very easily, and both sides will do this, and this is one of the big problems, is that if you go to the other channel and you listen to their podcast, you will find that there is a recurring theme where the coaches are the problem. And if we're on this side, you'll find that there's a recurring theme where the owners are the problem. And I can assure you, if you're both the problem, there's a lack of communication, right? And so we could spend a lot of time talking about that, but that's not a good use of your time as a listener or as a professional, because frankly, they're not as in your way as you think that they are. And the sooner we can get you guys to understand that you are in possession of your own solution, I think that that will empower you to understand that like you can make anything you want out of this thing. And if that means nothing, that means nothing. I'm fine with that. If you want to just be a coach who loves to just volunteer your time because you have this engineering job or you do something else, like I applaud you just as much as the person who makes, $1 million doing this. The bottom line is that coaches, regardless of how much money you make, are one of the greatest resources under the sun. We just need to make sure that you understand that it's your choice to not be making more money. And it's not because you're a martyr and you're not supposed to be making money. And that's one of the key takeaways of this. And it's not also your affiliate owner's responsibility to make you that money either, unfortunately.
I want to touch on if it's okay. And backpedal, saying it's the coach's fault, the coach is saying it's the owner's fault. It's kind of like, we all have our limiting beliefs, and it's kind of where they collide, right? So the communication factor on that is definitely a huge portion, but that's another conversation to be had. But it's basically like, making sure you acknowledge that you have those limiting beliefs. I know, when I've talked to you guys at the beginning, I was way undercharging with my personal training. And I was like, oh, I don't know. And now somebody just asked me today and it flies out and I don't even think twice about it. Cause I'm like, that's what it's worth. It's what you're getting, you're paying for the value. But there is a struggle and there's work to be done to move beyond your limiting beliefs. And I'm still doing it. I mean, there's a ton of shit I got to work through, but
don't we all?
But acknowledging and bringing that awareness to it is like the first part of, the first step.
And that's that's hopefully anyone who listens to this or watches this will take, 5 or 10 or 30 seconds and kind of look inward and be like, how do I feel about this? And hopefully we can spur you to examine self-limiting belief. And like jokingly, but also seriously, we can say pretty confidently, yes, you have it. Like you have self-limiting belief because you're a human being and it's kind of part of the human condition. Well, if you can start examining that, to Ashley's point, like you're halfway to a solution if you even begin looking for it, and getting over this concept that we are not worth it. We as coaches, in the service that we provide, like there's so much value that we can create, especially once it starts becoming deliberate instead of being asked for or accidental. Like I look now at, the potential impact, so part and parcel with ascending income is ascending impact. I look now at the potential impact that I could have on people's lives, and it's exponentially greater than the potential impact that I could have inside of an affiliate. Just like coaching a certain number of classes and interacting with a certain number of bodies, every day. And I'm excited about that. I'm blown away by it, but I'm excited about the potential going forward to really level up positive impact and change, and for people who I've never met and might never meet.
I mean, I have a personal motive with this whole project anyways. And if you've Lisa's unfortunately been on the resulting side of all of these, but there is no shortage of the usage of the word coach in today's day and age. It's probably, everybody has an online course to sell. Everybody is in your inbox offering to be a coach. It doesn't even matter what industry you're in. There's probably somebody who's offering to sell you coaching on how to be better at whatever it is that you do. That could be making wigs. I don't even know, but there's no shortage of it because people have found that you can sell information and people will pay for it. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with buying information. I am not saying that, but there's a massive difference between a teacher and a trainer and a coach. There's a massive difference between a guru and a teacher. There's a massive difference between a mentor and a guru. There's a place and a time for all those people in your journey. But most importantly, I think most of you who are listening to this signed up because you want to be a coach. The first most important thing I have to teach you guys, as a swan song, is what it really means to be a coach versus a teacher or a trainer or a speaker or a guru or a mentor. There is a place, there's a pillar, there is an ascension of sorts that has to happen. And I think to understand that, I think allows you to enter the conversation that you all are already having in your mind. Because one of the big problems that arises, I believe, in the whole industry is that we are conditioned from an early age that you ascend the levels of school, first grade, second grade, third grade, on to university, and then on to masters, and then on to your career field. And because you have completed these PhD programs, these master's fields, you are worth more than somebody who has, an undergrad, or somebody who didn't even do undergrad. And so I think that there's this preconditioned notion in most of us that's like, the higher I climb this ladder, the more I should be paid. But the thing is that what people don't understand, the reason why you're worth more when you've completed your master's and your PhD is that you can provide more value to the person who needs that person. And so, I don't think anybody really wakes up being like, you know what? I love this shit out of law. I want to be a lawyer. Right. Well, some people do, but, but no doubt about it, people are drawn and driven to that field for multiple different things. One of which is that it's just respected, right? People are just like, your parents are going to be like, yeah, my son's a lawyer, like that just feels good, or they're a doctor. It's not inherently that people want to be those things. And the point of that is that we need to get coaching to the same level is that level of appreciation and respect. And so people understand that, like, what it means to be a coach is probably single-handedly one of the most impactful career choices and paths that you could be on. Like, there is therapists and they're great, and there is coaches and they're not even the same people, right? But those two people alone and their ability to impact people at scale is massive. But all these other people who are engaging in marketing and calling themselves coaches, I think dilute the whole conversation, because having to be compared to Lucy, who's offering to be your coach, on her network marketing thing, it just diminishes the whole thing. So we need you guys all to understand, like, I'm a coach because of this, and therefore all the rest of you guys are asshats. And so if I can get you to understand that, then you can pick up the sword and you can go take the fight for me as well. Because right now I'm the only person, myself and Chuck, who sit on this podcast and preach from our ivory tower over here about the difference between that. But the sooner I get you all to realize that you're a coach because you are a coach and they're just gurus and teachers, then we'll win this war. And that's really what I want you guys to understand, is that being a coach is amazing. You will touch no shortage of lives, impact no shortage of people, but you have to understand the difference. And we got to start there with the levels.
And I think that's you're right. Having sat in on, dozens of the Fit Affiliate podcast and hearing this over and over, it is still a message that's really lacking in having people have the belief of, what a coach is and the value it can provide. And, how people will say, well, they'll go and pay for the heart surgeon should be expensive because he's going to fix your heart. Well, if we talk about a coach in even the physical sense or in any sense, they can stop you needing that person. So is that not more valuable? And, the impact, as Sam spoke about, and the power to change not only the life of the person that you're dealing with, but the ripples throughout their life, their family, their community, their wider thing, by having those powerful, impactful discussions that no one else in their life has probably ever had with them. And it changes trajectory of everything. And it's truly a powerful concept once you can get your head around that, not hearing people say, I'm just a coach.
Well, there's no replacement for a coach.
Yeah.
Period. It doesn't matter what you're struggling with, any area of your life. There is no better person than an actual coach to solve that problem with you. But as you will learn through the course of this podcast and through the journey, if you take the online courses and you go to the seminar, coaches aren't here to teach you anything. That's not their job. It's their job to remove barriers and obstacles from you. And how you get to that point requires you to ascend that ladder and knowing these steps along the way of what it means to move yourself to becoming a coach. But if you find yourself telling everybody you're a coach when you're clearly visibly, and as you'll come to learn, just at this point, either just a trainer or teacher, maybe not even at that point, you're going to see why it's a big problem. Like we made the joke on in the Fit Philly podcast about this being that, like, it's a lot like finding yourself in the kitchen as a dishwasher and then just assuming that because I'm in the kitchen, I'm the chef, right? Like that's going to be a really shitty restaurant if the dishwasher is trying to step on the line and be the chef. And that's really what's happening in a lot of these situations. It's that, there is no chef. So the dishwasher has to operate and act as a chef. And like best case scenario, you're getting grilled cheese. Like there's just nothing else that's going to come out of there. We have to get you guys to understand how you go from chef to prep to line cook to chef and what that looks like along the way, so you can understand that with each one of those steps, your ability to provide value increases exponentially. But if you find yourself trying to be up there too soon and acting as a chef, you can't provide value, because at that point, all you're worried about is one, being found out, and imposter syndrome becomes a big, massive problem. And then two, your limiting beliefs will limit your ability to get there. But like if you're dealing with imposter syndrome, know two things. Everybody deals with it, and it's only a problem if you find yourself in the possession of them needing you. But if you're providing value and you know that it's providing value, it really shouldn't be a question of whether or not you're the imposter, because at that point, you're providing value. But if you need them to buy something from you, imposter syndrome becomes a pretty heavy conversation.
And I think it's a good switch. When we, just before we wrap up, talking about the difference between the coach and the trainer. And earlier in the podcast, we spoke about acquiring knowledge. You've got all these things in your head. Being a coach doesn't automatically mean that you're going to vomit out all of the information that It's you use that information to guide and to question and to to help, rather than I know everything there is about a squat. I'm going to coach you on the squat, and that means I'm going to vomit all this information out. As a coach, the information is to help you ask better questions and see things differently, not be able to just dish that out ad hoc to people.
Well, I mean, to steal from someone else, to steal from Chuck, teaching or training is, hey man, elbows up. No, I don't think you heard me. Elbows up. Elbows up. No. Like actually, like this part, elbows up. And coaching is, why after 5 years is elbows up not working for you? Like what other thing do we need to address here? And it, in CrossFit, it kind of falls in line with this. Like I passed my level 3, CrossFit doesn't see me as a coach. At the end of my title, it says level 3 trainer. How I apply all that knowledge that I used to pass that test, that's what's going to make me a coach.
Awesome. All right. Well, this has been a great first episode. I'm excited to go on this journey with you guys and start making the world better through having better coaches that aren't stressed about how they're getting the next meal or the next dollar. So thank you guys. Again, if you need to reach out, you can reach out to us through Fit Affiliates. Otherwise, subscribe on your favorite channel and share this with a coach who that would appreciate it and need it. And let's share the love. All right, team. I'll see you all on the next one.
Yeah.